David Freeman, a 12-year-old boy, lives in Florida with his parents and younger brother. On Independence Day, he is tasked with retrieving his brother from a friend's place. David traverses through a forest and inadvertently tumbles into a ravine, losing consciousness. When he awakens what feels like moments later, he returns to his home. He knocks on the door of his home and a strange woman opens it to find that his home is no longer here. Hi, welcome to Q Recaps. Today I will explain the film Flight of the Navigator from 1978. He broke into the house and found that everything had changed. David is reported to the local authorities, who after searching their computer, find that David has been legally declared dead. Subsequently, David is transported to a new house, where he finds his family, now aged. Overwhelmed with confusion, David passes out. On the other side, a night watchman finds a strangely shaped craft that has hit a power line and malfunctioned. NASA researchers quickly arrive and tow it back to the research center. The surface of the craft is seamless, no way in and no way out. In order to find out what happened to David, mental tests are conducted at the hospital. David's memory was indeed stuck 8 years ago. His brain waves then shows erratic brain patterns, and even a strange object, a ship-like thing. This catches the attention of some men at NASA, who have discovered and are harboring a spacecraft very similar to the one that was found in David's brain patterns. Unable to get inside the craft, they think David may hold the key to opening it. The head of the team at NASA, Dr. Faraday, meets with David and his family, and convinces them that he can help them answer the questions they have regarding David's disappearance, only if David stays under observation for 48 hours. So David is taken to a special room that is closely monitored at NASA, where he befriends an intern named Carolyn, who visits him regularly with a mechanical helper named Ralph. Through her, David learns about what has been going on in the world during the last 8 years, as he's sad to learn that his favorite show Starsky and Hutch was cancelled, and intrigued by music videos. The scientists carry out a series of tests on David's brain. The results reveal alien star charts and other information. Using their equipment, David is shocked when he brain sends electrical impulses to the NASA computer, answering questions that he has no way of knowing. Along with the star charts, the information in David's brain tells the scientists that he has been on the planet Fallon, a galaxy 560 light-years away. The scientists surmise that due to David traveling to and from Fallon at the speed of light, this explains why he was able to return 8 years later without having aged. Upset by the whole experience, David runs from the room. Back to the room, David feels boring, but only 24 hours left, he thinks. Some time later, Carolyn appears and tells David that she has overheard that NASA is planning to keep him for a longer stay. David tells Carolyn to tell his parents about this, which she does willingly. The next day, David hears strange voices calling to him, telling him to come to meet it at the hangar. But how was he supposed to do that? As he listens, the RALF robot enters the room, and the voice tells to get inside the robot. David gets in, and the service robot delivers him to the hangar with the spacecraft. As David approaches, the spacecraft opens up, and some steps materialize. Going inside, he finds the interior of the ship to be all metal and without any machinery. A chair slowly forms behind him and he sits down. A flashing probe-shaped thing appears, claiming to be the ship's pilot, who informs David that his mind contains the star charts he needs to complete his mission, so David is the navigator of the ship now. While they are talking, the monitor room finally notices something wrong about the ship and sets off the alarm. The doctor arrives and is surprised to find David inside the ship and, fearing that his research will not be completed, he dissuades David from hurrying down. Not wanting to be a guinea pig, David orders the ship and escapes to a location 20 miles away. The ship takes off immediately. But David's instructions were not clearly directed, and he was sent 20 miles high into the air. Back on the ground, the pilot tells David that this is only the third-class maneuver, and David wonders what the first-class maneuver is like. The ship then changes form and glides across the ground at the speed of light. On the way, David and the ship's pilot have a discussion. The pilot explains that he has been sent to collect specimens from various planets. David was chosen from Earth. As humans only use 10% of their brain, the ship's pilot decided to fill the extra space with star charts to see what's happened, but the test was unsuccessful, as the information leaked. Due to the frailty of human bodies, the ship was unable to return David to the exact time he came from, which explains why David is now in 1986. After returning David to Earth, the ship crashed into some power lines, and as a result, its star charts were erased. David's brain is the only chance the ship has to recover the lost charts and return to Fallon. But David doesn't agree, he wants to go home. As the Dr. Faraday's team has catched up, David then strikes a deal with the alien craft. If David gives him the star charts, the ship will take him home. When the ship classifies itself to David as a Trimaxian drone ship, David decides to nickname the ship's computer Max. To avoid being found, the ship is plunged into the ocean. As it prepares for the mind transfer to retrieve the star charts, David finds several other alien specimens that Max has collected, including Puckmarin, a cute creature but not dangerous. Max claims he will return them back to their own time and planets once he returns David, with the exception of Puckmarin, whose planet was destroyed. David quickly takes a liking to the little creature. Back at NASA, Dr. Faraday is informed that the last person to see David before he got out of his room was Carolyn, who has left the facility. NASA agents track her down to David's family's home, where she is told about David escaping from the facility in the spaceship. Carolyn is returned to NASA for questioning, and David's family is confined to their house, since it is assumed that David will try to return to them. Finally, Max is ready, and scans David's brain for the star charts, only to have also scanned in some of David's personality. This gives Max a bit more of a handle on human personality. Eventually, the ship heads towards Florida. David tries to fly the ship manually, but when he takes over, the ship goes down extremely fast, and at a crucial moment, the pilot shows him how to operate it, pulling up in time. They fly over Tokyo to the Golden Gate Bridge, asking for directions home all the way, scared off these young men in car, still not knowing how to get home. Finally they find a place that can make calls. The landed ship shocks a fat man that he don't even move a little, or talk. David manages to call his family. Getting a hold of his brother, David explains that he doesn't know where his family's new house is, but his brother assures him that he'll help David find it. Meanwhile, NASA has been tracking David and Max's progress by radar, and surmising he's coming home, send trucks to intercept the ship and David. As night falls, David is able to find the house when his brother sets off fireworks on top of their house. As the ship touches down, Dr. Faraday appears, and attempts to coax David away from the ship, along with David's parents. Knowing he will still be isolated, instead of leaving the ship, David goes back inside, informing Max to fly off. David explains that he can't stay in 1986, claiming that he'll just be a guinea pig for NASA for the rest of his life. Max once again reiterates that taking David back to 1978 is risky, and he could be vaporized. However, David is willing to take that risk. The two say their goodbyes, as Max then races through space and time. Moments later, David wakes up in the same ravine. As he makes his way home, he hears his dad calling from the nearby dock, and David smiles, seeing that Max did it, and he is now back in 1978. David acknowledges each of his family members, and as the family takes off in their boat, the little Puckmarin has stowed away in David's backpack, and Max flies overhead, laughing, as David is glad to be back home. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.